Hello and welcome to this new tutorial, and mostly welcome to part 2, mining our blockchain. We have just built the architecture of our blockchain in our blockchain class, and now we're ready to not only create an object of this class, which will be the real blockchain itself with which we will interact, but also we are going to create this Flask-based web application to be able to interact with our blockchain by making some GET requests in our Postman user-friendly interface. So, in this part 2, we're going to do 4 things. First, we will create the Flask-based web application by just creating an object of the Flask class. Then we will create our blockchain, our first real blockchain, by just creating an object, an instance of our blockchain class. And then we will make a first GET request to mine a block in our blockchain by solving the proof of work problem. And then eventually we'll make another GET request to get the whole chain. And in today's tutorial, we are just going to create the web app and create the blockchain because it's going to be very quick and easy in just 2 short lines of code. So let's start by creating the web app. So to be honest, this was the first time I used Flask, but this is a great opportunity for me to show you how I managed to learn this and be quickly able to use this. So I'm just going to do exactly what I did to understand how we can interact with a blockchain through Flask, and therefore let's just go back in time like it was 1 month ago when I first discovered Flask. So I was on Google and I was looking for a way to interact with a blockchain on a web application, and by doing some research I eventually discovered Flask. And therefore in my Google Navigator, well, I just type simply Flask documentation or even quick start because I needed a quick start. This was my first step. And there we go. I just clicked on the first link here to get a quick start on Flask. And so here, as you can see, the documentation is really well made. You have all the information on how to quick start with Flask, and the first step you need to do when using Flask is to actually create the web application itself. And to create it, you simply need to create an object, this object here, app, from the Flask class, which is this class here, that we already imported in Python from the Flask library. And here you have some more details. For example, they explain you why you have to input a name like that here. It's because you are using a single module. And then you have some more explanations. So that's our first step. And then you'll see when we make the request, the GET request to, for example, mine a block or get the whole blockchain displayed in Postman, well, we'll use this @app.root. And inside this root function, we'll include the requests. So we'll make 2 requests, mine block and get chain. You'll see that will happen in the next tutorials. But anyway, the only thing we need to do now to start with Flask is just take this line because we already included this line at the beginning of our blockchain Python file. We only need to take this to create our Flask-based web application. So let's just copy this and let's go back to Python to create our Flask web app. So right here, we simply need to paste that, and here we go, we have our web app. So now let's get our blockchain. So to get the blockchain, well, this time it's very easy. We already have our class. We don't need to look for any documentation. So we'll simply create an instance of this class that we made previously in part 1, and this will give us a real blockchain. So let's do this. We're going to call this instance object blockchain, very simply. And so this blockchain object will be an instance of our blockchain class. And there we go. We now have our very first real blockchain. Congratulations. Now we're ready to interact with it. We'll make our 2 GET requests in the next 2 tutorials. And until then, enjoy blockchains.